before I get into the final dish on our menu, I know I told you at the beginning of the show that I absolutely love going to Paris. Obviously the food, the art, the history, we all love it.
Yeah.
But the thing that I love the most is that you constantly are surprised when you go to Paris. I feel like you always find something new. There's either a new kind of area. This is the last trip I had to Paris. That's me and my husband, Aaron. Very cute. Again, Arc de Triomphe, we have that in common. We all apparently take our couple pictures there. Yes. That is me at the Ritz in Paris on New Year's Eve. Did we have a reservation? No. That's Aaron and I outside after a couple of those cocktails. Doing a little bit of a pose in front of those trees. Oh, very nice. But honestly, it is one of those places that magic happens. Speaking of magic, one of my favorite desserts from France in general is a super simple tart. It's a Tarte Tatin, and it has all but around 5 ingredients in it. It's basically an upside-down apple tart that you bake in the oven. Well, you start cooking it on the stove, bake in the oven, and then you flip it out, kind of like the original upside-down cake kind of vibes. Yeah. It's super tasty and wonderful. And to get started on this, you need to make a caramel. So over here, I have got a caramel going on my stove. And for this, all it is half a cup of sugar and then 2 tablespoons of water. Now, the water in there isn't 100% necessary. That's just to kind of slow down that caramelization on the sugar, because if it goes quick. And if you've never made a caramel before, you know it goes from delicious to burnt in like no time flat. Now, fun fact, sugar, when you heat it up, turns into a liquid, because sugar is actually a liquid ingredient, which sounds kind of strange, but that's why when you're making cakes and cookies, you beat it in with the butter, with the eggs and things like that. So this is melted down and it is caramelized. It's a beautiful golden brown color. So into there, I'm gonna start kind of halting that process and giving this a bit of richness. So I'm gonna toss in 3 tablespoons of butter. That's gonna go in, and that's gonna all kind of like slow down that caramelization and give you delicious buttery flavor. So give that a stir. Now, okay, Anna, I got a question for you. When you're making a caramel, like a dry caramel or even a wet caramel, are you a stirrer or a not a stirrer?
I'm a non-stirrer.
Me too.
Yeah.
So there's a couple camps. If you are making a caramel, I don't stir because it makes crystals form and it can get clumpy. But a lot of people like the stirring technique.
I don't know where that started.
I don't either.
I was taught to not stir.
Don't touch it.
Yeah, until I find something else. I mean, the potato fries, boiling acid, I just learned something new, so.
It's true.
I could change.
Maybe they've got some ideas, but honestly, I'm sticking with the dry caramel. I know how to do it. But again, if you do know how to stir it, go for it. But for me, I always get clumpy, and I don't want clumpy caramel. All right, now that butter is melted in. This looks absolutely beautiful. This is, though, smoking lava hot. Anytime you are making caramel, you need to be very, very careful, because this is like Burn City. It's very, very, very hot. But into there, I'm gonna add in my apples. So I've got 6 Granny Smith apples, those tart apples, kind of similar to what Anna was talking about with respect to apple pie or those potatoes. That acidity holds these together as they cook up, unlike something like a Macintosh. So I'm gonna add those apples carefully into my caramel. And I actually wanna cook these. I've just quartered them, peeled them, and cored them. And you wanna give those a little bit of a toss together. And I wanna cook those down for about 15 minutes in that caramel, giving them a toss every once in a while, just to start the cooking process. Once they get there, arrange them nice and pretty. They're gonna look beautiful, kind of like this. But while those are doing their thing, I'm gonna talk about pastry. I know, right? I would just eat that.
Yeah.
I was like, they added another layer, classic France, but it's so tasty. So here I have got my pastry. I'm using store-bought puff pastry. I'm not gonna ask you to make puff pastry. If you do wanna make puff pastry, talk to my good friend Anna Olson, because she's got a great rough puff recipe. So I'm actually gonna layer them. I like extra pastry. Andrea Bucket, this is where we disagree.
I know, I'm not a big pastry girl, but I mean, I can appreciate it. That's enough? Did you say that's enough?
That's chaos.
Like, that's enough for you.
I love the crispy, the butteriness, and the layers and the flakes, so I always double up mine. You don't have to, but I like it. So I just give them a little bit of a roll to stick them together. And then I want to dock the pastry. Because puff pastry has layers and layers and layers of butter that give you that puff as it evaporates, you want to give somewhere for a little bit of that to go so it doesn't over puff up. This also helps any sort of steam that's building up in those apples underneath escape. It's called docking. It has nothing to do with boats. It's just poking holes and stuff. So easy breezy. All right, now to put this together, I'm going to grab that pastry, come over here and just drape it over top of those cooked down apples. So this is where you gotta work quickly, because this pastry wants to stay cold and this pan is obviously hot. So grab a spoon and just start tucking. Now, if you wanted to, you could also kind of trim this pastry a little bit, but as we've discussed, I like pastry, so I'm going big. So just kind of tuck that down just until it's all the way around and almost tucking underneath those apples. Being careful of that pan. Then grab this baby and pop it into a 375 oven for 30 minutes to 35 minutes, just until it is nice and puffy and golden brown. Pop that in. And you end up with something that looks like this. This has been cooling for about 10 minutes on the back counter, and that is going to look so good. I know. Y'all don't even. This is so good already, but it's about to get better and very Evel Knievel and dramatic. So this is where you have to be very confident, because to turn this Tarte Tatin out, you need to flip it over. So what I like to do is grab my serving dish, usually with a rim, just in case any like sauciness spills out. Pop it on top, upside down. Grab your mitts. You want to keep everything nice and safe. And then confidently.
Yes.
Oh, this is scary. This is scary. Confidently flip it over. Woo! Did we get it? Let's see. For a little bit of extra insurance, do one of these.
Yeah.
Okay. And then lift it up and let's see. Oh no! There's gonna be a picture on the good stuff. This is where you. Oh no, she gone. Listen.
I think you can fix it, Mary. I have faith in you.
Welcome to the Good Stuff Cafe, where everything looks delicious. Listen. If all else fails, chuck some vanilla ice cream on there, let it melt, call it creme anglaise, and you've got yourself a day.
Delicious.
Bonjour. Au revoir. Okay, I'm gonna scoop this in. To be honest, there's gonna be a nicer picture on the internet, so check that out to see what it's actually supposed to look like. This was so delicious. Everything was so wonderful. We're gonna dig into this mess. I'm very excited about it. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.